5 minutes, we're going to do Q&A. So ask any questions that you want from any of us, and we'll be happy to answer them. So, who's got the first question?
What is the best Godzilla film?
Well, for me, it's 84.
I need time to think on that.
My favorite is Megalon.
Mothra versus Godzilla.
They're all great, but 84, I agree with those either.
Yeah.
The original Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
What are all your favorite monsters? From
What are all our favorite ones?
Yeah, like what's your favorite monster?
For me, it's Space Godzilla.
Do you count robots as monsters?
Yeah.
Kiryu.
If it's just for Godzilla, Anguirus.
So for like anything. What would you say?
For anything, still Anguirus.
I like Godzilla and Kira for Dan Mothra Mechagodzilla. I don't know, that's a hard. I like them all.
It's got a special place in my heart for Gigan. Always thought it was a cool design.
Right, you in the back, black shirt.
What's your least favorite movie in the AC series?
For me, that's Godzilla versus Mothra.
Space Godzilla. I'm sorry. I love the design. I love the look of the monster, but the movie itself.
I also have to say Space Godzilla. Don't get me wrong, interesting idea, also love the design, but it just, for me, it just comes off as boring.
Space Godzilla.
Oh yeah, sorry Chris, it's the first, second, and third.
Oh,
Space
come
Godzilla. Of all of them that I watch, it's probably the one I put in the least. I mean,
It's just not very well written. You know, this mob trying to take control of Godzilla, like.
Butt scene.
Yeah.
The pacing.
Blue shirt?
What is your favorite suit in the entire Godzilla franchise?
84 as well. Yep.
Did you get to say it?
yeah, I did.
Oh, sorry.
Might get a lot of slack for this, but the Final Wars Godzilla. What's your favorite Godzilla?
My favorite suit, Mega Rogochi, the one used from 73 to 75.
1964 Mosugoji.
Actually, I'm a big fan of 62, actually.
You in the back?
What's your least favorite Godzilla monster?
No, actually, I say Gamacris.
Can I say the monsters, the two monsters from Godzilla Unleashed?
That's really tough. If I do have to say anything, I guess it has to be Kaiser Ghidorah.
Yeah,
I guess it's because he just seems like a poor stand-in for the real King Ghidorah. Monster X, I like the design, but King Ghidorah just has a whole bunch of contradictions to its design that makes it seem a little discombobulated. So for me, I guess if I have to say a least favorite, it has to be Kaiser Ghidorah.
I agree with John. Kaiser Ghidorah. I don't see the point in the wings. It couldn't fly. It with 4 legs, just it kind of worked for Death Ghidorah in the Mothra film. But like, if you're gonna bring King Ghidorah back into the 50th anniversary Godzilla film, bring him back, not some abomination elephant-looking thing. You know? But I like Monster X better. He could have just stayed like that, and I would have been fine.
Least favorite's got to be the monster that was so annoying that he didn't even get a name, the giant flying condor from Cinematography.
Male condor.
Yeah, you in the back? Yep.
I had more of a technical question. I wanted to know roughly how long it took to make that piece and what were some of the biggest difficulties that you faced when making it.
Well, technically speaking, well, altogether it took about a year and a half to put together, but If I really had to sit down and put it all together, I'd say about, like nonstop, I'd have to say 6 months. The biggest problem I had to face had to be a few things. One is a lack of motivation. Other big problems, I guess it all has to come down to how well it is to key out certain images in Photoshop, so that way I can pull off certain effects. Like for instance, Godzilla's like gesturing towards the end. That was pretty as well as like with his mouth closed. That was the mouth closed piece. I actually took inspiration from a guy called Sean McGinnis. Some of you may know him as That Godzilla Guy, I think. So I tried to incorporate that, but trust me when I say it's really complicated. For photoshopping, it's just like I said, the manipulating limbs to poses that they can't take. And for putting the actual project together in Vegas, I guess it has to be a matter of like which layering I can get away with. Like for some scenes, I actually had to use 10 layers just to properly execute a certain scene. Some are used for like monsters that I don't need to move as often, and some that have to move off screen, but Vegas acts weird about moving certain points. But that has to be my biggest challenge, obstacles for the episode. Lack of motivation, certain gesturing in Photoshop, and getting down the layering correctly in Vegas.
So Chris, if I could jump off of that, maybe we can kind of talk about some of the software that we kind of use Vegas and Photoshop. Anything else that you use to put your videos together?
Yeah, those are my primary ones to put the whole thing together. I also use like WordPad to actually write down the events of the episode.
Yeah.
To put the whole, like, to visualize it. Because normally what I would do is I use storyboards, but that's a lot more time consuming, and considering how long it takes to put an episode together, I find it a tad bit more convenient to just type it out and visualize it when I have to put the whole thing together.
So it takes planning to put something like that together, because it's not just something you decided one day I'll do this and then I'll see how it goes as a flow. You actually planned it out from beginning to end, and had it all, and it tells the story without words, which is great. I love that aspect of it.
Thank you. And it's funny you mention that, because like, as of like, I actually started doing that around the end of season 1, and about 85% of season 2 is already written. This is part of season 2. So yeah, it does take I consider it the most fun part, but it's also a lot very challenging, because the main problem I face with that is visualizing the action of what a monster will do. Because the storytelling is there, it's just putting like fighting sequences together is the real challenging part of that aspect.
You use Premiere, right?
Yeah, Adobe Premiere. When I started, I just used Windows Movie Maker as a basic thing, but then I started, for more complicated videos, I started using Adobe Premiere.
The other guys?
Like Chris, I started off with Windows Movie Maker, then it went on to Pinnacle Premiere, or Pinnacle Studio. Once I got a Mac and went to an internship, I actually got my hands on After Effects, Adobe After Effects, Final Cut Pro 7, Soundtrack Pro, all the professional software out there. So if you want some of that cool software, I'd say go work for an internship, and you might have some nice guys who will give you some really great stuff.
If I could quickly interject, sorry. Like Kyle, like when I first started off, I also started off with Movie Maker, and then I worked up to Pinnacle Studio 12, and now I'm currently using Vegas. So like, it takes practice. Like, it's not bad to start off with the basics, because that's how people learn to get better and better. So like, don't feel bad about using Movie Maker from the start, because eventually you'll get the hang of it.
I did some videos like 10 years ago using Movie Maker on our Windows. Once I started getting into Godzilla reviews, I started using iMovie, and I'm going to be upgrading to Final Cut Pro 10 soon. But you use the program that you're using to do what you edit until you feel like you've maxed yourself out with it, and then it's time to step it up to something different. To bring your videos to life a little bit more.
And I use Final Cut Pro 10 actually, and a lot of the same software these guys are using too. The Adobe After Effects, Photoshop, and Apple Motion's another good one to get out there. But obviously, if you just keep pouring money into something, you know, it can get pretty pricey.
What is your least favorite Godzilla figure? And I know a lot of them are going to be Bandai creations.
Oh man, that's. I'll tell you like my least favorite X Plus figure that I own. That'd be the Minya one, 30 centimeter Minya.
What isn't Bandai creation that I don't like? I love Bandai creation. I don't want to talk negatively about those, but I'm gonna go with the Bandai vinyl Godzilla 2014 that came out in 2014. I just don't like how weird the arms are whenever you pose them up because it looks like he's ready to give you a hug.
Are we talking just Godzilla or like any monster?
Any monster, I guess.
Any monster? That's a tough one. Wow. Wow.
Come back.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to think this one through.
All right, if I had to pick from, because I have a couple different lines I collect, probably one of my least favorite X pluses would be the 25 centimeter Godzilla 62. His face is just off. The Bandai least favorite Bandai.
It's okay, Rich. You can talk about Bandai creation.
I don't want to say what I own. You know, because it's a different topic. You know, me and you've talked about
Oh, yeah.
significantly, but it's a good topic. Pass.
Yeah, I'm not gonna down too many figures because I love them all. You know, I even have some for my kids. So if you were to say they were my least favorites because they're not, you know, put on my shelf, some of the 2014, you know, plastic ones you find in like the Walmarts and stuff. Yeah, I'll give those to my kids. So they're not in my collection. My kids play with them. So I guess if you were to say they're my least favorite, those would be it. The ones like the tail lashing ones and you know whatever. They're okay for what they are.
I got another one. The Monster Arts Godzilla 2014, the first one that came out. I think when I pulled out, his arm just popped off, and then his tail popped off. Looked at the face, and was like, oh. It's kind of my favorite now since I myself actually went and did custom, did a good looking, I wouldn't say good looking paint job, but a better looking paint job. Fixed the eyes, so one eye's not looking down here and one eye's not up here anymore. That was tough, but I like it. But it was not my favorite at the time once I got it.
I think I finally got one. Sorry. But I think my least favorite, after some contemplating, has to be the Bandai Nars and from Ultra 7. And I say that because in comparison to like one of those wooden snake toys that you could find at like a dollar store that you can like move it like that, I was kind of expecting Nars to do the same thing, and lo and behold, he doesn't. So I guess he has to be my least favorite for now.
Sorry, you in the back first.
I know concerning Goji fans' films, and I know most of you probably want to be aspiring filmmakers sometime, concerning Space Godzilla and Wrath of the Hybrid, which is coming up. Do you guys have any favorite shots or anything in particular you like about the cinematography in any of the films?
In the fan films I've worked on, or just overall?
Anything you like to replicate from like maybe a show of hindsight?
I think for me, probably just the scale with like the camera angles looking up and just having the slow moving, just making them look massive. Those are the kind of shots that I really like. I was like far distant shots too, just to show the size of him. Those shots I really do like.
Who here knows Jared Faust? Anyone? A few folks. He's a aspiring kaiju filmmaker. He's made some popular things, Ultraman Sorta. He's had a few other things in the amateur film contest. One of his recent last projects I saw was called Godzilla, or I think it was Godzilla versus Matt Frank or something starring Matt Frank. Really great project. He got like bushes from a tree and put them like really close to the camera, so that way he gave the giant Matt Frank a scale. It was incredible. I want to try something like that at some point. That's who I get my angles from.
Where do I get my angling from? That's tough. I guess it has to be a lot of the modern, well, I can't really say modern because I don't really follow like Ultraman since Ginga, but I guess a lot of it has to come from like the shows like Max, Mebius, the Ultra Galaxy series, as well as like the cinematography of like Megalon, because Megalon's been a big influence with a lot of the stuff I make. So that's pretty much where I get my shots from.
With my content, I do a lot of figure reviews, so it's specifically the 64 Godzilla via the X Plus or the SH Monster Arts figure. I always try to capture this shot of Godzilla when he's staring off into the distance in the film, Mothra vs. Godzilla. When Mothra's coming in, Godzilla's just like staring, like pissed off, you know, and he's got his eyes narrowed down and whatnot. So there's a couple shots I've taken with my 64 figures to try to recapture what we saw in the film. And I try to do that with pretty much any of the figures I review when I'm taking my photographs or videos.
As far as my reviews, I do a lot of movie reviews actually, so you get the chance to check out the preview or trailer I did with Kyle Kaiju Cast, where we actually recreated the scene with the homeless drunk in the restaurant who's looting the place and complains about the service. Looks outside and sees Godzilla roaring at him, and that's me actually. But I turn and look at the window, and it's Kyle turning with this ridiculous looking Godzilla outfit and roaring at me, and that was our trailer for our '84 review. So yeah, that shot, you know, I love about any shot in '84. There's very few I don't like from that film.
Right.
What inspired you to do the creepypasta?
What's my review of the That's a really good question. What inspired me primarily is the fact that nobody's ever touched it before, but also the general idea of creepypasta. I always see it as just people just trying to create shock value content of a lot of stuff out there. Because when you look at a lot of popular creepypastas, like, a lot of them are focused on family-friendly content, like SpongeBob, My Little Pony, Sonic the Hedgehog, Pokemon, just name a few. It's all focused on just shocking the audience with blood and gore and horror and demons and all that. And in comparison to all those that I have seen and heard of, Godzilla really fascinates me because that is a franchise that can be goofy one moment and very serious the next, with like the original 54 movie, for instance. That's super serious, and like Megalon, that's like a really fun loving movie. And it's just fascinates me that somebody could take something as generically shock value-ish as creepypastas and try to attempt going with something that can be taken very seriously as Godzilla. So that's also what inspired me, the challenge that somebody could take something serious and try to add something more dark to it. So that has to be my inspiration to doing the reading, because one is because of bragging rights, not to brag, but also the challenge that it poses. Like, can something Godzilla related be scary enough to like be a horror movie? So
What was
that.
it? What was it?
Sorry.
Do you remember at the end of the epilogue of the creepypasta, you like the game's literally messing with your mind? Can you say that last line one more time?
I don't have it on me. I'm sorry. I don't. If I had a piece of dialogue, I totally would. But I can say one line if you want. I could say a line for Red if you prefer.
Okay.
Okay.
You are not sleeping. Thank you.
Alright, you guys right.
Which robotic monster you like better, the original Mechagodzilla or Kiryu? Any type of Kiryu from?
I like Kiryu. That's my favorite Mechagodzilla, just because of how agile he was. I just feel like it took the show and Heisei just kind of combined it, and also his design is just really cool looking. So
I'm a huge Kiryu nut, but I'm gonna go with the original Mechagodzilla. I just love how retro that one looks, and he's also a favorite robot, one of my favorite Star Wars, not Star Wars creator, not George Lucas, but Dave Filoni, who did the Clone Wars series. He loves the original Mechagodzilla the same reason as I do, the retro look. the barrage of weapons he throws at Godzilla in the first movie. That's intense.
For me, as much as I like Kiryu's design, I also have to go with the original as well. He just comes off as such a juggernaut for Godzilla to stand up to that it requires, whichever way you look at it, 2 or 3 other monsters to help him. I think Geras and King Caesar, and even then, he's pretty much got his back up against the wall, so I guess I have to go with the original.
Same thing for me. I like specifically the 1975 Mechagodzilla. It's just very sinister looking, just bent on destruction.
Original show of 74, the one that started it all. That was the one.
Alright, so we got like 5-10 minutes before we gotta show the last thing that we want to show, so we'll do like rapid fire questions here, okay? So we'll start. You all there?
For your Return of Space Godzilla, the prequel films like and as well as the Rise of Darkness and the Aliens and Friends series, what process do you guys go into when you guys are picking monsters to show for episodes or for the movies? What do you guys do?
For Return of Space Godzilla, that was when I went to Nico, who's the 2023-56. He's the overall creator of the Kenshin series, is what we're calling it. I basically just wanted Space Godzilla to come back. That was really it. I told him, I'm like, well, if we're going to do a sequel, can Space Godzilla come back? And that was pretty much how that happened.
For the Darkness, I just look at the monsters I have and try to figure out what kind of story can I tell with this character. That's essentially how I choose my monsters.
How I choose my monsters is I consider which one is the most popular and how I can change it up a little bit more to be a little bit more modern and incorporate other like abilities from or revolution, like changing up their style of abilities from shows I've seen before. But I also like compare that to which monster hasn't got a lot of focus and could be reintroduced for people to spark interest. Like for instance, some of my previous episodes I've included obscure monsters like Bucadenders, Sigoris, and even like a few recent episodes like Black King and King Saurus. Up until Ginga, when Black King returned, none of these monsters really have had a time to shine in recent years, so I wanted to give them that time to shine once more. So it's a matter of who has a lot of interest that I could change up to be like more interesting, or who can I reintroduce for people to renew interest in. So it's weighing your options.
Let's see. You all the way in the back corner.
Me?
Yep.
Who do you think's the toughest Godzilla monster?
I would say Kaiju Ghidorah.
I need time. Go on, John.
Because of the writing being technically like set in stone now, I'd have to say Destroyer. Crap.
Yeah.
that turd thing from '84.
Let's see. Ask. I'll come back.
I'd say, I agree with the Destroyer. He's the one who really just gave him a run for his money. Really did.
Wait, well, I got my answer. Hold on, I thought about it. Ghidorah from 1964. I mean, it took Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra to defeat him. So I'd really like to see what Godzilla can do against the Showa Ghidorah by himself. Let's just see really what they have against each other. So, yeah.
The original Mechagodzilla. Yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is just a very simple question. How do you guys feel about the fact that since first time since the Hanna-Barbera cartoon that we now have 2 separate Godzilla canons going on at the same time?
Like with
Shin Godzilla, and then we have the Hollywood one. Now we have 2 completely separate universes onto themselves.
Yeah.
Well, we have more than 2.
Yeah, we're all
current
right now. Right now, currently running is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say overall, yeah, we have more.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying currently running. This is the first time since
I see what you mean.
Hanna-Barbera that we've had 2 concurrent different Godzillas running at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, if you include comic books.
Yeah, Mr. Saint's Godzilla.
Alright, you mentioned you run into trouble with Toho in the past. What do you do to keep that from happening again?
Don't put Toho Godzilla videos on your videos.
Pretty much.
What you gotta do is you just gotta make sure how you make the video. I mean, what I've started to do is just use the video game music because I've been doing fine with that. Toho really does not like you putting their music in your videos. They will get you every time. So it just depends on like how long you put a clip. Like if you're gonna put a clip from the movie, it really depends on also what kind of movie it is. If it's 1954, it doesn't matter how long it is. They will get you on that because they're very careful with that one. But maybe like Godzilla's Revenge, you can probably get away with a little bit more. But it just depends on how you make your videos. You just gotta be careful on how you put it together.
That fair use argument is a big thing on YouTube.
Yeah. It's a big gray area. So
assuming, and this is a question for all of you, that Godzilla is your #1 thing, what other pop culture type things, shows and movies are you interested in?
Universal Monsters. I've already actually gone through the Universal Monster reviews on my channel.
I'm into video games. I like Metal Gear Solid. I like Dragon Ball Z, Japanese anime. All kinds of movies. What else do I like? Saw. Oh, I'm a big horror fan. I like the Saw movies. A lot of different things.
Three off the top of my head: Dragon Ball Z, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Steven Universe.
Video games, Red Dead Redemption, Halo, Star Wars, Super Sentai or Power Rangers in here.
Yeah, for me it'd be like God of War, Metroid, Halo, Star Wars. I'm a big sci-fi fan, so
we're all big nerds,
right? Looks like we have time for let's throw 2 more questions. So Vinny?
I want you to know what your favorite giant monster theme is.
Music theme?
Yeah.
Really tough.
I like Mechanicon's theme. Dun 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 dun. I just love how sinister that one sounds.
Oh, Batra's theme.
You get to sing it though.
Without going straight to Godzilla's theme, because everybody loves that, my 2 favorite themes has to be Sacred Springs from Godzilla, Mothra vs. Godzilla, as well as the music I used for Godzilla and Black King's fight scene that was introduced in King Kong Escapes. Just something about that that music just comes off as really catchy, and it really like builds up the adrenaline when listening to it.
Of course, I'm pretty sure we're all big Mifukube fans, but I like Masaru Sato's music from Son of Godzilla, especially the march for the Kamacuras when after he just got massively big from that, the radioactivity, and it's like dun 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 dun, and it's just got that drum march. I love it, love it.
It's a Symphonic Fantasia 3. At the end of it, you got that Mysterians theme, which is a great way, as we with the concert last year with Symphonic Fury, how John and the crew ended that concert with Fantasia 3, and it ended with that Mysterians theme. It was just the big finish that got the crowd roaring.
All right, we got time for 1 more question, so let's see. Godzilla.
Do you guys have any predictions for Shin Godzilla?
We're gonna need a whole other panel for that.
Quickly, I just think, I hope it's gonna be as dark as 54 in this series.
I'll love it regardless, so.
I think it's just going to be like a modern day remake of 54, like how the 70s King Kong was a modern remake of the 30s Kong, the original. So that's what I think it's going to wind up being.
I'm trying to be optimistic while cautious. I hope it's dark, serious, and has a good story behind it to, especially work with the design, as we've all seen.
I think cautiously optimistic is the way we probably all agree that, we're really hopeful that this is going to launch into a new franchise, taking Godzilla in a new direction.